Welcome to another episode of The Growth Mindset. We're here again with you today to continue our conversation on things and topics that matter and that will transform and help you move to the next level. Today, Gerren and I are here to have a slightly different conversation with you. So based on the timing of when this comes out, this may not necessarily be part of the Where Are You Going series, but as things come up, as topics come up, we want to share them with you as they are on our heart. And Gerren reached out this week and said, James, there's something I really would like to share with the audience and a conversation I'd like to have. And so we're coming to you today to do that very thing, to bring that conversation to you. So instead of me leading out today, I'm handing it to Gerren today to lead the conversation. So with that, Gerren, let's get started.
Yeah, let's do that. So one of the things that was on my mind this week, I don't know if you've seen it, but there's been a clip from Will Smith speaking about the idea of having amassed all the things that he wanted to amass throughout his career, whether it was wealth, his ability to purchase things, his ability to travel the world. But the key thing that he mentioned was at the end of all of this, it felt meaningless. And he said that there's this, and I hope I get this correctly, but he said that there's this part of your soul that is seeking attention. There's something about you that is seeking this connection, and it all boils down to that.
Yeah.
Right? And I believe he stated that people tend to run from addressing that thing. And they try to find answers by buying new things or experimenting in new ways and so forth. And I believe even Jim Carrey talked about this too. It was several years back, where it's all meaningless. And if you go further, I believe in the Bible, there was this guy named Solomon.
Yep.
Right? And he mentioned the same thing. And I wondered, do we all need to go through life reaching for all these things to come to the very same point? Or could we acknowledge it from now and live a different life, a different course? I was in a discussion today, and someone in that discussion said, at the end of all of this, like, God is everything. And I don't know how people feel. You know, some people believe in God, some people believe in the universe or what have you. But at the end,
A higher power, something bigger than you. Yeah.
What does that mean? So even if you believe that, okay, God is everything you need, or a higher power is everything you need, how do you then live now? If you were supposed to discover that now, before you even attain all those things, God is everything.
Yeah.
The higher power is everything.
Yeah.
So what do you do? How do you live?
Man, very deep topic. We can go a lot of different ways. I think the framework of this is in part what we've been talking about in some of our episodes before, which is this concept of what are the true foundational things in life that truly bring us joy, that are the fuel for our journey, and are the moments that ultimately will matter the most when we look back, right? And so, you know, I think as society, you know, the commercial capitalistic society tells us, you know, you need to attain certain things in order to have made it, right? You need to have the house in a certain neighborhood, kids in the right school district, you know, the right letters behind your name from a title on your job. And if you don't, if you find yourself on the outsides of those parameters, somehow you did something wrong or you underachieved. And even if you have unlimited joy, but you don't have those things, people would say you're misunderstood.
Right.
I remember you told me a story of a gentleman you met at a conference. And you said he almost looked like Santa Claus, big beard, big gray beard. And I believe you had a conversation with him that said, "Hey, what do you do?" You remember that?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the audience about that?
I was at the ISSA conference. I believe it was in 2024, and this gentleman, short guy, looked like Santa Claus, and he was just walking around, meeting people, asking very interesting questions. And I remember asking him, as we typically would at a big networking event, hey, so what do you do? And he was like, who, me? I just I just go to these events and just meet people. Okay. And he was just like, yeah, I just meet people and I ask questions and I learn about you and I might take some pictures and that's it. I'm like, that's it? He's like, yeah, I've retired. And this is all that I do. That's it? And he's just like, yeah. And he's like, if people like my pictures, they'll pay me for my pictures, but I just get to go around meeting people. And I thought it was very interesting. Like, that's the life that he's living. He says he has found joy in just doing this.
So what about that initially did you find the most jarring? Was it just the simplicity of it? Was it the fact that it was undefined in many ways that most people would seek to put borders around? Like, what about that made you kind of remember it so much?
The one thing that jumped out at me was his facial expression. And I took a picture with him. He was smiling.
Yeah.
The guy was happy.
Yeah, you remember you showed me the picture. Yeah.
And with I'm getting chills here as I say it, like with no plan. All he does, he says, every year I plan out the conferences that I'm going to attend, and then I just go and attend them. Sometimes he fronts the money. Sometimes people will pay for him to be there just to see his perspective. And he loves it.
So, the simplicity to a life lived that way, that is outwardly focused, is not preoccupied with how far I can get, but preoccupied with, man, where can I serve? Where can I show up? Who can I meet? What impact will I have on them, or frankly, they have on me?
Yeah.
And that openness, man, is something that most people miss. Most people miss, because us included. I mean, we have complicated life by all the things that we have accumulated, and then to maintain what we've accumulated is the next level, right? And so, running into somebody like that doesn't define themselves by title, doesn't define themselves by what they have or how they got there or where they're staying or, any of those things. And all they represent in themselves is, I show up and I meet people.
I'm getting chills.
Right.
It's resonating a lot with me, man. Oh, I'll tell you this one thing that also happened this week. My cousin came into town, Mina, and we're by my sister's house. And Mina says, her daughter is the same age as one of my daughters. And she asked the question, hey, so what did you guys do for spring break? I'm laying on the couch, all sprawled out. And I said, we did nothing. We didn't take them anywhere. And my oldest daughter, Madison, she jumps up. She's like, we did something, Daddy. I was like, what did we do? Well, we went out to dinner. We went to SeaWorld. And we did some things. And she's like, it was great. In my mind, I'm thinking, of course, of places that we would have taken them.
Absolutely.
All these trips, the amount of money that we would have spent.
Yep.
We stayed in our house.
Yep.
And we just went out for a couple dinners and we went to SeaWorld on annual passes, so they were already paid for.
Yep.
And my daughter still placed our activities in the same category and had the same joy and appreciation had we gone somewhere else.
So, I mean, what does that tell you about where, let's say, our children, if you have them, where they place value on things? Where does that come from?
Where does it come from?
Right. So there's some kids that grow up to be sensitive to, hey, if we didn't go on a ski trip this year, what happened? Yeah. Right. We didn't go to Europe this year. We didn't go to Italy this year. Yeah. What happened? And then there are kids like your daughter that may have had both. They may have had trips to nice places and, may not have even understood what it took to get there and the investment needed. And then they had time where they were at home, but they did things and they still saw value in them. So where I'm going with that is our kids pick up those values from us. And if we put those, I'd say, elevated experiences on a pedestal. When I say elevated, I'm talking about the ones that have a lot of investment. It requires a lot of planning. And we put those on a pedestal, right? It's all we talk about. It's all we show. We're stuck there effectively. and how we communicate the times that we remember the most.
Yeah.
Our kids will start to index off of that.
Yeah, yeah. Even as you were speaking, I remember this, and you will too. I remember when you were either getting engaged or this was like your first anniversary with your wife. And I can't even remember what it is you did, but whatever you did, I remember us like coming at you saying, "What will you do next?" Like you set the bar so
I
high
remember.
already. You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah.
I was like, bro, you set the
I'll
bar
spare the
so
audience
high.
that
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do next?
Yeah.
Right? And now years have gone by. I don't remember how many now, but we've had some crazy experiences still. Right?
Yes,
Highs and lows.
absolutely.
The relationship, the way that your wife responds to the things that you do, and the things that you're unable to do, still remains the same.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know if it was us looking in from the outside, wondering, well, first off, like your wife, this is going to be a new experience. How is she going to manage this?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How are you going to manage this? Right? Because as a friend, we're sensitive to making sure, like, yo, hey, don't super extend yourself, right? Knowing you as someone who also wants to grow and also wants to create these experiences, like all of these things were at play as we saw that one thing happen. But again, years have passed, and we've done so many things together. And the relationship between you and your wife has remained the same.
I would argue it's improved because what happens when you go through those cycles is it's almost like the water level dropping. You get to really see what's down there. You
Okay.
get to see what was below the water line. So your communication has to improve in all areas, right? If there's something that you're thinking, planning, wanting to do, you have to almost bring them on board. You have to get them engaged in the process in order to ensure that you remain aligned. And, in my particular business pursuits now, including this, my wife has been rock solid, been a supporter, and is helping me actually accelerate some things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you got that dynamic, it's very easy to appreciate the journey. Not even knowing where it's going, but knowing that you're not doing it alone. You're not keeping secrets. Nothing's hidden.
Yeah.
It unpacks a whole array of things. And part of me believes in Will Smith's commentary, everything we just talked about is a part of that, right? So when he talks about amassing everything and trying everything and pushing boundaries of whether good boundaries or bad boundaries, pushing boundaries and still not being fulfilled.
Yeah.
I believe that part of what he's saying is there are things in his life that he undervalued that were basic and foundational.
Yeah.
But because all this other stuff became possible, all of it became at the touch, right? At his fingertips. Those things that are the foundations, it's very easy to lose sight of them. Very easy to lose sight of them.
Yeah. Have you read his book?
I have not.
Yeah. So I read his book. It's a really good book. If you can get the Audible, it brings in different elements to the book that is really cool. And he spoke a lot about the journey for him. And I get to see in his book what you said. Like he captured a lot of these moments, and it was really cool to experience it with him. For him to make the statement that he made, as far as at the end of all of this, there's still nothing, makes me wonder if he truly remembered what he wrote in the book. Like if he really appreciated all of those moments that we get to see, and he gets to witness them too. He actually placed them on paper. Dude, did you see all the things that you did?
Yeah.
And has he tapped into those individuals to see what that really meant to them in those moments too, so that you get to appreciate that moment? Like I will appreciate the conversation. I remember myself sprawled out on my sister's couch, hearing my daughter across the living room show her appreciation for the week of just family time.
Yep.
And when you think about, and you've challenged me on this too, man, traveling to speak,
Yep.
coaching, just being away from the family. You've done a lot of travel yourself. You remember when you came home and how your daughters responded.
Absolutely.
Oh, it
Absolutely.
was so cool to hear you say that, man, and talk about it, of how they responded. Hey, daddy's home. And it was kind of like, and another day goes by, daddy's still here? Daddy's still here?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and they got to nestle into the fact that daddy's home, right? Like, I just wonder, man, for a kid, how, like, I wish I could see it through your daughter's eyes. How does it feel? Daddy's home, you know?
Yep. Yeah, no, again, the moments that matter, right? And definitely a week I'll remember for a long time. And again, it's so easy to overlook, so easy to just put in a corner
Yeah.
and not necessarily fully embrace it. And part of me believes, to your point, I think Will is likely still going through a phase of unpacking
Sure.
and reconnecting, because he's now detoxing his memory bank of all of the things that don't matter, because there's been likely so much of it in abundance.
Yeah.
The detox process takes time.
Yeah, has to.
And so when you strip it all down, whatever that trigger is to get you to go to that place, there's 100% a process that you got to go through in order to make sure that you are not leaving things unprocessed, right? That help you connect what really matters together. Because there's a subtext to your life that says this was what actually kept me going the entire time.
Yeah.
It wasn't the money, it wasn't the movies, it wasn't the this, it wasn't the
Jeez.
that, right? I mean, it wasn't. There was a subcontext. It was a praying grandmother. It was a spiritual friend who always would check in on me or text me. Even when I wouldn't text them back, they were hey man, I got you covered, da da da. I mean, there are things that we underestimate or devalue that do make such a tremendous difference, and we don't even know.
Yeah. And as you're saying that, I think about that word abundance, and why it's such it's blasphemous to say that I am poor, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so much around us that's going on. There's so much every single day. Once we're alive and we can open up our eyes, we have access to so much. But again, we have this thing, and you talked about it in the beginning. We have this idea of what success looks like, and what we should be attaining, what we should be, aspiring towards. That we miss out all of these moments along the way.
Yeah.
That signal abundance.
Yeah.
And if we were to just pivot and say, like, wow, like right now it's a beautiful day outside, right? The family is okay, the family is safe. You can call and know where your kids are. The same here. You saw me checking with my kids before we even got online. Abundance, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, one of the things I enjoy about travel, and I'm fortunate to be able to do that, is seeing what fulfillment looks like in other places.
Seeing what fulfillment looks like in other places.
Happiness and fulfillment are not carbon copies everywhere you go. All right. When we were in Europe, how many massive homes did you see? How many sprawling suburbs did you see with everybody who had a 32 to 35 or 4,000 square foot home with land, and how much of that did you see?
Not much.
Right.
Even as you mentioned that, I remember when we were driving through Naples, and I remember us driving down and we looked up on the left, and there were all these seemingly just apartments, several stories high, with people's clothes hung outside.
Yeah.
I remember that. And I remember just catching glimpses of people, laughter, smiling, people sitting on the porch, on the balcony. Life.
So to that end, because people don't have the value and their happiness tied up in their homes, possessions, where do you find them? They're out. They're out and about. They're walking.
Yeah.
They're bike riding.
Yeah.
They are, living life where there is space.
Yeah.
And as such, you find a much more communal and community-friendly, community-based society where it's almost jarring when you first show up, because you're looking for, okay, the nicest hotel. Oh my God, this room is smaller than a room would be in the U.S. Oh my God, we can barely fit our suitcases in here, and
Yep.
da da da. And then next thing you know, you're never in your room,
I'm listening, man.
right? You're out enjoying what what there is to offer beyond the four walls and conference, and that's something that we all have an ability to do, even where we sit today, and we miss it.
Yeah.
We miss it to build bigger
The
houses.
fact that you say that, we miss it. Like,
We miss it, right?
Yeah, we
It's
do.
something that escapes us because we think that bigger house, bigger this, more of that is the path.
Yeah. You know, my wife and I, well, wife and the kids, they truly enjoy going to model homes, right? And we've seen some, man, and we've gone into some homes where it's sprawling. You know, you walk up the staircase, you go to the right, this wing and that wing, and then you look over and downstairs. And I would think to myself, and we'd all say like, man, it would be great to live in a house like this. But if I'm in my room up here in this wing, and my daughter or someone else is downstairs, I don't know where they are.
I have no
I
relation.
might have to use an intercom to connect.
Call. You got to call it. You got to FaceTime them.
Yeah, you know.
Absolutely.
So there is no community in that, because even in our smaller home, we could be in the same space and all of us on our phones, and we're disconnected.
Yeah.
In a tight space.
Yeah.
So imagine now spread out.
Yeah.
I'll never see my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So again, there's so much to this conversation, and the basic idea that stuff isn't the way is like it has been, I think, communicated. I think everybody, if they're honest, would agree.
Yeah.
But how do you bring that to life? How do you take the steps to transform your current perspective to a new perspective? Will is doing it at a time where he has accumulated, he's amassed.
Sure.
And somebody look at him and say, oh, it's easy
of
for
course,
him to
yeah.
say that now because
Yeah.
he's got everything I'm trying to get.
Yeah.
And now he's having a moment of reflection.
Yeah.
For the person who looks at that with that level of cynicism and doesn't effectively embrace the opportunity to take the first step, what's your feedback to them?
Man, so a couple things. One, I can hear people in the comments saying, well, let me go on my own journey and see if I come to that same conclusion. All right? And we all will.
Yeah.
You've talked about this even in our personal conversations, how we all will have to reconcile with life.
100%.
Right? To your question, asking like, what do you do? I think the one thing that we should do, that I would encourage everyone to do, even myself, is to begin identifying the qualifiers for a moment. Like what are the things that I'm measuring to capture a moment and say, this feels good, this was successful, this morning was great.
Yep.
I think if we create the framework around that and we always look at moments and through that lens, through that framework, we become more and more aware of how to capture abundance, success in our days.
Yep.
So we're chunking it down. And you might have some insight on this for sure, as far as chunking things down and say, like, commemorating it, to say that this was awesome, and experience the feeling that comes from that. And I think that's another issue that people, or a challenge that people may have, being able to actually feel the joy of that moment.
Yeah.
I know that I struggled with that for many years, so much so that when I get the chills or my eyes begin to tear up from something that we're talking about, I don't fight it. I don't try to stop it from flowing. I allow it to flow, man, because for so many years, I didn't know how to appreciate a moment.
Yep.
And I noticed how I became distant from myself, distant from knowing how to play with life. I felt like I shortchanged myself.
Yeah.
Of so many moments.
Yeah.
Man. So that's what I would say initially to get started.
Yeah. I mean, this is something I've been thinking about a lot because I'm enjoying the conversations. I'm enjoying, what we're building with this platform. I'm enjoying the feedback we're getting, the constructive feedback we're getting, and, as we continue to make advancements in what we do. But I'm still stuck with this question as I kind of changed my perspectives, which is what is the most practical thing I could do to help somebody take the first step? And so, here on the growth mindset this summer, we are going to be embarking on a series called "Where Do I Begin? How do I start?" And we're going to have a series of short videos by a number of different speakers who are going to bring to you some very practical feedback, 5 to 7 minute videos that helps unlock 12 steps that will help you gain the courage to take those initial steps.
Yeah.
I believe that this can be a groundbreaking series for you. Some of us have been pushed into this, right? We have experienced something in life or career, and it has forced us to embrace this new beginning. For some that are very comfortable, for some that are fulfilling their vision, they're meeting their goals, it may be a little bit more challenging because they may not see the need to go down this journey because they in themselves are fulfilled enough because their kids are smiling, their lights are on, everything is paid, they can go on nice vacations, they can,
Because
right?
they're watching. Right?
They're numbing themselves many times with what's really happening on the inside. And so this series is really going to be a step to help you, no matter who you are and no matter where you are in your journey.
Yeah.
Find a path to continue advancing with the courage and the foundations necessary to succeed. And I'm very excited about it. I'm actually not going to be one of the speakers because, I know you guys hear enough from me, but I've brought together some friends of mine that I believe are some of the most impactful people in my life. And I have asked them to share with you from the bottom of their heart what they believe are those incredible steps that can help you where you are. So look for more information on that as we continue this journey. But as we close out here, Gerren, and you kind of frame up this conversation on Will and how he communicated effectively a point in life where, we call them mirror moments. He walked by the mirror and realized, wait a minute, I feel happy, but I don't look happy. Right? And so let me back up a little bit. Let me look in my mirror. Let me try to reconcile what's inside and what's outside. And he found a gap. And that gap was, I've got everything I need. The exterior is, according to the world standards, fully baked. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
But something on the inside is dying. Help us close this out.
Listen, for you who are having those mirror moments, because not everyone will have like a big thing that occurs that makes them think. You are walking by that mirror and you notice this. First off, I acknowledge you. I acknowledge you in the moment of discovery, of confusion, where you just don't know what's happening. You know that something is missing, just like James just expressed. You know that something is missing. Just stay right there. I want you to stay right there, look in the mirror, and just observe yourself. Look at the wrinkles on your head, the bloodshot red eyes, the smile that you're trying to create, but you know deep down it's not really a smile. The facade, the makeup that you put on, the filter that you put on for the world. I just want you to acknowledge that. Just look at yourself, and it's okay. If anything bubbles up within you, if any emotions start to rise, go with it. This is your first step to being courageous. I want you to hear that. This is your first step to being courageous. For too many years, too long, you have lied to yourself, or you haven't been the best friend to yourself. You've lied. Yeah, Let's just say it as it is. And there's this moment in time where you get to just look at yourself and acknowledge that. As you do, know that there are people out there who are willing and able to help. And I give you permission, I hope you give yourself permission to ask for help. I know it might be tough. You might feel, I like to do life alone, or people don't understand. You might feel as though the friends that you have around you aren't the right support group. I hear you. And it's still okay to ask for help. By you asking for help and being courageous to do so, the right person or the right people are going to show up. Maybe this video is what you need to hear right now. And if you know that there are other people who are feeling the same that you're feeling, invite them to follow us along here in the growth mindset. It's your first step. I won't say any more, but watch. Life will change for you. It's about to change. And we're here to support you. That's all I got, Jay.
Thank you very much, man. Very powerful closing message from Gerren. Again, we here at the Growth Mindset appreciate you taking some time with us today. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We have a simple mission, and that is to deliver a message that will connect with the one person it was intended to in the audience that we have an opportunity to engage with. That person is you. Congratulations. Embrace this. Put it on repeat. Listen to it a few times. Absorb what it's telling you. And write out your plan for how you are going to take the next steps. Please keep an eye on this space. We are in the middle of a transformation as we try to expand the borders of the content we bring to you, the presenters who are able to speak to you. And so we will be sharing more about that as we go forward. But we are so excited as the vision for the growth mindset becomes more clear. And we are on a mission to impact the world one person at a time. Thank you very much. And we look forward to talking with you again soon.